which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Before I was a pastor, one of the things I did was I was a computer programmer. And I worked at several hard drive companies, writing test software and software for internal use. And companies that make hard drives design them in America and then build them in foreign lands because it's cheaper to build everything there and then load it back. And the company that I was working for built everything in Singapore, and one fall they decided to send me to Singapore to meet with their programmers and to work kind of a hands across the sea sort of thing. And it was originally supposed to be a 3-week trip. And so I went and I did my thing, and then a crisis ensued. And they decided to extend it. And extending it was okay. I mean, I got a little extra money for being overseas. But they had sent me in such a way that extending it would have gone over Thanksgiving. Now, I could miss a holiday. I mean, I've been away for holidays. But that particular Thanksgiving, Janelle and I decided to invite everybody to our house. So I was going to be on the other side of the world, while Janelle's going to be at home, putting on a Thanksgiving dinner, all by herself. It became very clear when I was in Singapore that Singapore was not my home. And what Peter is saying in this passage is the world is not your home. And you can look down and kick the dirt, say, it looks like my home. Maybe look at your driver's license, find an address, and say, that's my home. But this world is not your home. Just like I had a place to go every night. I had food to eat. It was a comfortable place in many ways. Singapore was not my home. I was a sojourner, a traveler. Sojourner is an old word. It means somebody who travels from place to place, who doesn't have a fixed address. There are people today who travel in RVs back and forth across the United States. They are sojourners. They are travelers. They have no fixed address. Peter also calls us exiles. I wasn't necessarily exiled in Singapore, although it seemed like it some days, because I could not just hop on a plane. I had to wait for them to give me a ticket to get back home. I could have quit while I was over there, but I'm not sure how easy it would have been to get a ticket to come back. So we are exiles. This is not our home. Our home, once you have accepted Jesus Christ, once you are a follower of Jesus Christ, your home is in heaven. Jesus said, I go to prepare a place for you. If you are a follower of Him, that you is you. Amen. And what He's doing up there is assembling somehow a dwelling place. And in Jesus' mind, that place up there is your home. Yes. And so if Jesus thinks that's your home, and you think this is your home, who's right and who's wrong? We need to get the mindset that Jesus Christ knows where our home is, and we are just passing through. We are just travelers, just like I was in Singapore. The problem with being a traveler in this part of the universe, this place called Earth, is that the world doesn't like us. And so we're passing through hostile territory. insult on injury, you have this thing called the flesh. Flesh is a euphemism for sin nature. You have this propensity, this desire to sin. Everybody who's ever been born has a propensity to rebel against God. You, from the moment you figure out some things about the world, want things to go your way. That starts for some about 2, starts for others about 1, starts for others about 15 minutes after they're born. You want things to go your way from a very early age. And the older we get, we can either say, I had some great ideas when I was 2. I want things to go my way now that I'm 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Or we can say, I was immature when I was 2. I was challenged by not knowing what God wanted. And so now that I'm older, I will choose God. And the people who say it that way, and the people who choose that, those are the ones that have become Christians. Those are the ones that God is building a home for. But there is a whole group of people, probably a majority of people in this world, who say, no, selfish ambition, sinful passions, me first, getting whatever I want at any cost, is a much better way to go. And those people are your neighbors, are your co-workers, maybe some of them are your good friends. You will come across them all the time. And you will get an idea, because you are human and they are human and we like to fit in. You will get the idea every once in a while that their way of selfish ambition is a pretty good way of doing things. And what Peter is saying is we need to look at those choices and say, because our passions war against our soul.
Amen.
Whoa, that's a rough one. People can war against all sorts of things, but to war against your soul, what does it mean? Well, it's not a war for your salvation. If you are saved, you are saved. If you have accepted Jesus Christ, you have accepted Jesus Christ. And Satan knows that he can't take your salvation away.
Amen.
So he could just say, oh, well, can't win, don't try, and give up on you. But he's not that smart. So he figures if he can get you to remove Christ from the throne of your heart, that you may be saved, but you will be the most ineffective, useless Christian this world has ever seen.
That's right.
There are Christians who were saved, perhaps at a young age, perhaps early 20s, who went to church their whole life until they were 20, 25, 30, and then something happens, and they decide to stop going to church. One thing that happens is people move. And it's difficult if you've had a connection with a church and you move 2,000 miles away to find a new church. That can be one of the biggest challenges of a person's Christianity. And then you get busy with unpacking in 1 year, and 2 year, and 3 year, and 5 year, and pretty much it's been 10 years since you've been in church. And Satan goes, that's one down. Because he knows, on your own, apart from church activity, apart from Bible study activity, in your very own little world, you will always get your relationship with God wrong.
Amen.
And they say, oh, what about those who were POWs, who had no Bible? God can do anything.
Amen.
God can and has taken people in solitary confinement and caused them to recall scriptures they have no memory of reading.
Amen.
But for the most part, for the masses, if you're not with Christians, if you're not worshiping with Christians, if you're not involved in a church, Satan has won.
Amen.
And recall, Satan's goal is not to get you to curse God, not to get you to disbelieve. Satan just wants you to take Christ and kick him off the throne and put yourself back on the throne so that your choices become more important, so that your passions become more important, so that your selfish ambition becomes more important. Now, what are these passions? One commentary I read says, because it says passions